So what I have here is 6 different devices. These are all Media Connect compatible devices. We've been working with a whole array of companies. Right now we have about 40 companies on our partner beta program. We've been working with everybody from network manufacturers like Netgear and D-Link all the way up to large consumer electronics companies like Sony here, as well as PC OEM companies. This is a gateway DVD player. So we really covered a broad spectrum. This is a huge market, or it's going to be, it looks like. There's not a lot of these products right now. We see inklings of products coming out from just about every company. Like Yamaha has something called Musicast, Onkyo has something called Nettune. These are all streaming network solutions right now. And what we're trying to do is move all these companies over to a common platform that works with our server. And the idea is we believe it's better for the consumer, first of all. It's much more difficult if you have to buy one of these devices and then have to install software. It's not pretty to the consumer. It's expensive on a time basis, and a lot of times it doesn't work out very well. Plus, there's just a general compatibility problem, right? If this guy serves one server and this one does another and this one another, what if they cause conflicts? They don't work together. There's all sorts of issues. They each have their own database, so you're not reflecting the same library at each place. So can we have one common server up here that supplies data to all these different devices? So I'll just show you real fast up here. So this is the Windows Media Connect application. So Windows Media Connect is really meant to be a fairly background application that's rarely used. It's essentially a configuration application, right? You set it up once, and hopefully the rest of the work kind of happens on its own, except for the occasional adding of a new device or the like. So we're a control panel application, and we'll show up in some of the category views and stuff in the regular XP view. But for now, we show up right here, and you would launch us from there. We have some other entry points that include the Windows Media Player, and we'll probably show up in program files as well. So this is what you see, and we really have 2 core functions, which is devices and sharing. So the idea is you don't want every device to just have access to your media files, right? If it was just music, we probably wouldn't worry too much, but for photos and video, I don't think you want your next door neighbor seeing photos of your family or personal videos that you took. So we decided that no device would implicitly just have access to your media. They would have to be approved once by the user. So the great thing about UPnP is I plug in all these devices and they all automatically announce themselves. So we get an announcement on the PC, we pop up a balloon notification, as well as some other tricks to kind of make sure users see that something new's happened. And they come to this core UI here and they have to add this device. So they say, I want to enable this guy, I don't want to enable that one. That's my next door neighbors. There was actually a story in the paper a few months back about Nokia, and they had a photo sharing application for their cell phones that you can share to a set-top box. And they had a problem where a couple was sitting in their living room and started seeing someone's photos, and it turned out to be their next door neighbor's photos because they both had the same set-top box. So this is what we're trying to alleviate here, that capability. So some other things that we're working on here is we actually get, if you look down here, this is the Omnify digital media streamer. This is information about the device. And UPnP provides us a lot of metadata about the device itself. So what we can do is provide kind of a nice experience to the consumer as far as bringing up links to the manufacturer, possibly a link to the manual so that we can bring up a PDF file. We also can get device icons, and essentially we can just provide a nice, pretty experience to the consumer on their devices themselves so they really understand what they have and what their capabilities are. In addition, some of these devices actually have presentation pages, which would allow us to technically control the device itself from the PC. And it's up to the device manufacturer what level of control they would like to provide. But we see like some of the guys with this Netgear and stuff like that, they would provide things like the ability to turn on and off the wireless network and set the SSID and all that sort of stuff. So the other main component here, I'll just switch over real fast, is sharing. And this is what media do you want to expose? So we kind of opted for a very simple mechanism of selecting a folder that you want to share out, and that's the same folder that we'll then monitor in the future for all new data. So in this instance, I just shared out my documents, which is probably the simplest and most straightforward mechanism. So I expose my documents. We go through and we enumerate every media file in that directory and only media files. So all those file formats I discussed before, WMA, PCM, MP3, MPEG-2, and we build a kind of database or cache file with all the associated metadata. That's what winds up being exposed to all these devices, and I'll walk through that here in a second. In addition, we actually monitor this folder for all new event changes. So anytime you rip a CD into My Music, or you transfer photos from your camera into My Photos, or you download something from the internet into that directory, or you just drag and drop, we'll catch that change and we'll notify the devices that something new has happened and shown up there. So let me just walk you over here. So this here is the Rockford Fosgate Omnify. And I'll kind of walk you through what this device is doing with us. So at some point earlier in the day, it announced itself to the Media Connect software, and I had enabled this device. So this device also happens to have this nice on-screen UI. So what it now has the capability to do is browse through our entire media library that we created. So as you see here, it's shown my JSON FL Laptop One Microsoft Media Server. Here. So what I'm doing now is I'm actually browsing into our library of data that I've created. So what you actually see here is coming up the PC. This is not UI on the device. They've actually browsed the root directory of our media library, and that's what they're showing back as UI. We've given them a top-level music, pictures, and video container. And when I click over here, what I get is the next level in this hierarchy. Again, we are providing all this UI, so they're getting, not UI, I clarify myself there. We are providing this portion of the UI. They are reading what we're sending back and showing it in the UI. So we provide music in album folders, a flat list all music, artist, genre, and playlists. So perhaps I want to listen to some of my albums, so I can come over here, and what we see here is a flat list of every album of music I have on the PC. So let's pick a song here. So I come in here. This is the list of the songs for this album. I press play. And we start listening to music off the PC. So it's pretty straightforward and simple. So what I'm looking at now is the Gateway DVD player. And in this instance, this device actually supports photos and video as well. So what we see here is, again, we're actually looking at our hierarchy here. And I just went into all pictures, and this is a flat list of all the pictures I have on the PC. If I start, this thing's going to actually start a photo slideshow on the TV over here. And I actually think that this is probably one of the really the cooler aspects, because so many people have just endless amounts of digital photos on their PC that they never look at. And it's just so neat to just have a slideshow go on your TV. You know, we take photos now when we're at a party or something, and our friends come over and we just show them on the television set. Stop that. Why this thing's returning to its life. So the Gateway DVD player is also capable of doing video. Okay. Let's see if I have any video on here. I don't have any video, so I can't show you none. But what you can see is for videos, we actually support video by actor, or album, or genre. Album is essentially your folder name for the video. So we go through, you share out my documents, and we provide a flat file list, or a flat folder list, sorry, of every folder that had video in it. This is not to expose directory structure. So we go down, if you had a video in my documents, that becomes an album name. If there's a subdirectory that has a video in it, that becomes an album name.